Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, fuel supply crisis deepens as oil workers shut down NNPC facilities nationwide, say that strike is indefinite. Minister of State for Petroleum dismisses claim of unbundling the NNPC, says the state oil company is undergoing reorganization. The National Assembly takes over legislative function of the Kogi State House of Assembly. And the African Union plans setting up a counter-terrorism force to support vulnerable United Nations peacekeepers in Mali.
And on business news tonight, federal government reads Riot Act to financial regulators over alleged attempts to manipulate foreign exchange markets.
And in sports news, the World Anti-Doping Agency insists that Russia isn't devoting enough energy to get rid of doping.
I'm Linda Kibe, and from Abuja, FEC arraigns two senior advocates of Nigeria over alleged corruption in Lagos.
We begin tonight from Nigeria's oil industry, where a massive crisis seems to be brewing, as oil workers today shut down the operation of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, nationwide. Separate confirmation on this situation from Nupeng and Pengerson reveals that the strike is as a result of the reorganization of the petroleum sector. Members of staff of the corporation arrived at their office this morning to discover that they could not gain entrance following the strike. The immediate impact of this will be a nationwide fuel scarcity, as products will not be lifted by Nupeng in this period. Dr. Ibe Kajiku, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, who doubles as NNPC Group Managing Director, announced on Tuesday the creation of 7 independent units, namely downstream, gas, power, refineries, venture corporate planning and services, and financing accounts. The oil
Heavy traffic on this road leading to the NNPC towers in Abuja. But the busy road gives a deceptive perception of what is happening here, as the oil workers could not even gain access into the towers to begin their daily activities. They are gathered here, right at the foot of the towers, discussing in groups about issues raised during Tuesday's press conference by the Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Ibe Kajiku. The oil workers appear determined not to back down until all issues concerning their welfare and their role in the reorganization of the corporation are addressed.
The directorate structure was initially trimmed down as a cost-saving measure. This was applauded because it is in line with the intentions of government. However, the same structure that was dropped is now back in disguise, with only change in nomenclature. We therefore demand for a review of the unbundling process of NNPC by calling on all stakeholders for a roundtable discussion and proper analysis of all items.
Although the minister has said that the NNPC has not been unbundled, the oil workers do not seem convinced.
Even before we embark on strike, there were queues everywhere. Our expectation is that our chief executive will give a steer on how those queues will disappear by fixing our pipelines, by ensuring that our depots are up and running, by ensuring that our refineries, whom at the present capacity utilization is less than 20%, he tries to bring it up, but rather than concentrate on those operational issues, he went into a search for unbundling. We are open to discussion, like yesterday, because we've been pushing for it for a very long time. And anytime he comes to us willing to discuss, to review this is unbundling, we are open to that. As far as the strike, until our demands are made, we have stated from the beginning of this briefing, the strike continues.
The implication of this is that the fuel scarcity is likely to bite harder, as all the NNPC affiliates have been shut down and Nupeng members have threatened not to lift petrol as long as the issues at stake remain unaddressed.
In the meantime, workers have shut the Kaduna refinery over the reorganization of the NNPC. Our correspondent in Kaduna State says that the workers have locked up the refinery gate, preventing management staff and others from gaining entry. They want government to reverse the decision. And still on the subject, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Pt. Kachukwu, has refuted claims that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, has been unbundled. The minister told State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting that the corporation is only being reorganized, not unbundled. He explained that the NNPC is still a whole, but that there are companies that were run by individuals who reported to the group managing director and therefore needed to be looked at. He promised to hold a meeting with the oil workers to resolve the issues.
We did not unbundle NNPC. I think I had a press conference yesterday where this was I don't know if you attended that. What we've simply done is a reorganization. We had 5 business entities focused on business. Upstream is your E&P, which was there before. Downstream is your C&I, which was there before. Refineries was there before. Gas and power was there before. Gas and power just pulled out from E&P. Ventures captures all our respective little companies that were not having proper stewardship. All right, they are run by individuals who report out to the group managing director. NNPC is still a whole. There's nothing new that has happened. I've tried to explain this, and I'm sure we're members of a family, they will understand that we're going to have a meeting and they will be able to understand that. But perhaps the engagement hasn't been good enough with them, and we're going to look at that. But NNPC hasn't been unbundled in the sense of breaking up of NNPC into different institutions.
Are you concerned that the industry has been shut down?
Of course, anybody will be concerned. Isn't that basic? I don't want industry shut, and I'm sure we're going to resolve those issues.
What do you mean?
Working on it.
The Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Pt. Kachukwu. And moving on to other stories now. The House of Representatives has approved a recommendation that the National Assembly should take over the legislative functions of the Kogi State House of Assembly due to the leadership crisis rocking the House. This was the key recommendation of the delegation mandated by the House of Representatives to look into the alleged illegal removal of the Speaker of the State House. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, reports.
The fact there is a constitutional crisis.
2 weeks ago, the House of Representatives mandated a delegation to look into the affairs of the Kogi State House of Assembly and the alleged unconstitutional removal of the Speaker. It is now time for the House of Representatives to consider their findings and recommendations. The leader of the delegation said the division in the state legislature cuts across party lines and can lead to violence and insecurity.
The only thing that will make us help Kogi State to avoid bloodshed on this matter is to evoke the provisions of Section 11, subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is why we have recommended that in view of the fact that the Kogi State House of Assembly cannot perform its legislative functions due to the intractable crisis and the volatile security situation in the state, the National Assembly should invoke the powers conferred on it by Section 11, subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to take over the legislative functions of the State House of Assembly, pending the restoration of normalcy in the Assembly.
Other recommendations were then proposed.
The delegation, after considering the circumstances of the purported impeachment, declares the impeachment of the Speaker null and void.
Condemn the embarrassing action of the 5 members in clear violation of Section 92 sub C of the 1999 Constitution as amended.
The recommendations were put to a vote.
Those in support of additional recommendations say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate would have to pass these resolutions to meet the requirement of Section 11, subsection 4 of the Constitution for the National Assembly to take over the functions of the Kogi State House of Assembly.
The report was indeed compiled by our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi. The Federal Executive Council has received reports on investigations into the cause of the accident that claimed the lives of the Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Mr. James Ocholi, his wife and son, along the Abuja-Kaduna Highway. Our State House correspondent Chukuma Onuekusi reports.
The announcement of the death of one of his trusted ministers, Barrister James Ocholi, in a car accident hit the president and the cabinet members and indeed Nigerians as a rude shock. The same way the death of General Yushau Abubakar, the head of training and operations of the Nigerian Army, also in a car crash, came. The president announces a minute's silence for the repose of the souls of the departed.
May their souls rest in perfect peace.
He narrated his experience with the late minister, his contributions towards his emergence as president, describing him as a humble chap that would be missed in the cabinet.
I honestly was following his political development and so on. And even his contribution here, whether the memo is from his ministry or not, he made substantive contributions.
Investigations by the Road Safety Corps shows that perhaps this accident could have been avoided if certain precautions were taken.
The major safety issues identified in this crash were the operating vehicle speed, driver panicking situation due to the sudden tire explosion, hard application of brake, tire maintenance, vehicle crash worthiness, and availability and non-use of safety rear seat belts by the minister, his wife, and son. There was no record on the driver's license national database of the driver of the Honorable Minister with the name Taiwo James Elegbede. However, there was record found on the driver's license national database of the driver of the Honorable Minister's backup vehicle with the name Ibrahim Abubakar.
Then the tributes, beginning with the Minister of Labour and that of Agriculture.
James Ocholi was a man who, when he contributes in the committee, you will notice that his contribution will stir up some intellectual discourse. We will always miss him. That friendliness, that kindness, that simplicity, but that commitment to change.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation announces the President's approval.
The President has approved that the burial is essentially a federal government affair. The President has directed that we find employment for those two and then provide scholarship up to university level for the other two. We are working on the employment side, and we think the Minister of Education will take note of work out the modalities for the scholarship.
The burial has tentatively been fixed for the 16th, 17th and 18th. The federal government extends sincere condolences to the people of Kogi State and the immediate family members and pray that the memories left behind will always be a legacy. Chukuma Onuekusi, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, two senior advocates of Nigeria docked in Lagos over alleged corruption. Stay with us.